She dumped me on speaker to make her friends laugh. 11 seconds. That's all it took to end 16 years. She said, "It's over," like it was a joke. I said, "Okay," and hung up. By morning, her mother was screaming about what I'd done to the house. But here's what Brooke didn't know. My name is Clayton Morgan. I'm 42 years old, and I own 7 franchise locations across 3 states. Built them from nothing, working 70-hour weeks while my wife Brooke stayed home with our kids, Levi and Ella. He's 14 now, she's 11. Good kids who deserve better than what they're about to witness. Brooke started her mommy blog 5 years ago. Harmless stuff at first, recipes and decorating tips. But somewhere around 30,000 followers, she changed. Stopped being my wife and became Brooke Morgan Home, a brand that needed constant maintenance. New clothes, professional photos, spa days for content creation. And 6 months ago, a personal trainer named Cody Barnes, 29 years old and built like a Greek statue. I'm not stupid. I saw the signs. The way she'd hide her phone screen. The overnight trips to collaborate with other influencers. The hotel receipt I found in her gym bag 3 months ago that she never mentioned. But I'm a businessman. I deal in facts. And the fact was, everything we had was legally mine. The house, cars, accounts, all of it. Her name wasn't on anything. We'd structured it that way for taxes back when we got married. So instead of confronting her, I called Arthur Simmons, a retired military lawyer and old family friend. 65 years old and sharp as they come. Document everything. Arthur told me over coffee. Every text, every receipt, every inconsistency. Build your exit strategy before she realizes you're onto her. For 3 months, we prepared. I didn't move money or change passwords. Just quietly photographed documents, saved messages, and had our home security system upgraded with audio recording. Perfectly legal, and Brooke signed off on it without reading the fine print. The day it happened, I was reviewing quarterly reports with Vernon Davis, my business partner. Vernon's 50, built his success the same way I did, from the ground up. He'd been warning me about Brooke for months. "Something ain't right with her, man," Vernon said that morning. My ex-wife acted exactly the same way before she tried to clean me out. My phone rang before I could respond. Brooke's name on the screen. I answered. "Hey, what's up?" What I heard made everything crystal clear. Women laughing in the background. Then Brooke's voice, loud and theatrical, obviously on speakerphone. "Clayton, it's over. Don't text, don't call. Just move on, okay?" More laughter erupted. Someone shouted, "Oh my God, you actually did it." Vernon froze, staring at me. I felt nothing but cold clarity. I didn't yell, didn't ask why. I just said, "Okay, I understand," and hung up. 11 seconds. That's all it took to end 16 years of marriage. Vernon looked stunned. "Did she just break up with you to entertain her friends?" he asked, his voice incredulous. "Yeah," I said, already opening my laptop. "She did." I pulled up the folder labeled Exit Plan. Everything was ready. Every document signed. Every account secured. Every move calculated. Brooke thought silence meant weakness. She expected me to call back begging. She had no idea the house she was celebrating and had been transferred to a family trust 3 weeks ago. That her credit cards would be deactivated within the hour. That the gym membership where she met Cody was registered to my company and would be canceled by morning. I called Arthur. "It's time," I said. Arthur's response was immediate. "I'll start the process. Don't contact her. Don't respond to anything. Let her make the next move." I hung up and looked at Vernon, who was shaking his head. "You already knew this was coming," Vernon said. "For 4 months," I replied. "I just needed her to pull the trigger herself." By tomorrow morning, Brooke was going to learn an expensive lesson about the difference between being in someone's life and being on their paperwork. And her mother, Helen, who'd spent years calling me controlling. She was about to find out what control actually looked like. The night after that call, I didn't sleep much. Not because I was upset, but because I was executing. Arthur had given me a checklist, and I went through it methodically. At 11 p.m., I remotely deactivated Brooke's credit cards through the company account portal. At midnight, I called the locksmith service we'd had on retainer. They'd be at the house at 6 a.m. sharp. At 1 a.m., I sent a formal notice to the gym canceling our corporate membership, effective immediately. By 2 a.m., I'd forwarded all the documentation to Arthur. Text messages, security footage, Adriana's statement about seeing Cody at the house. Everything dated, time-stamped, organized. Vernon texted me around 3 a.m. You still up? Yeah, I replied. This is wild, man. How you holding up? I'm fine. Just getting things done. That's what I'm talking about. Stay focused. Stay cold. At 6:15 a.m., my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. Mr. Morgan. A woman's voice, older, frantic. This is Helen, Brooke's mother. What did you do to my daughter? I kept my voice calm and professional. Good morning, Helen. I haven't done anything to Brooke. She ended our marriage yesterday. I'm simply responding accordingly. The locks are changed. Helen's voice was shrill, almost hysterical. She can't get in the house. Her cards don't work. What did you do to the house? There it was. The moment I've been waiting for. Helen, the house was never in Brooke's name. I said evenly. Neither were the cars or the accounts. Everything was structured under my ownership for tax purposes. Brooke chose to end our marriage yesterday. Quite publicly, I might add. I'm simply protecting my assets during what will likely be a complicated divorce. You can't just lock her out of her own home. Helen shouted. It's not her home. I corrected. It's my home. She was a resident. Now she's not. Everything I'm doing is completely legal, and I have an attorney who's reviewed every step. Helen sputtered for a moment. Then her voice dropped to something dangerous. You're going to regret this, Clayton. Do you hear me? My daughter will take you for everything you have. She's welcome to try, I replied, but I'd recommend she get a very good lawyer. Have a nice day, Helen. I hung up before she could respond. Vernon called 5 minutes later. Brooke's blowing up Instagram. You seen it? I hadn't checked social media. Didn't plan to. What's she saying? She's playing the victim. Says you blindsided her, locked her out, trying to make it look like she abandoned the family. Her followers are eating it up. Let her talk, I said. Words don't hold up in court. Documentation does. By 8 a.m., Arthur called. Clayton, I just got off the phone with an attorney claiming to represent Brooke. Young guy, probably someone she found online. He's threatening an emergency injunction to get her back in the house. Can you do that? I asked. Arthur chuckled. He can try, but he'd need to prove she has legal standing. She doesn't. Her name isn't on the deed. She's not on the mortgage. And we have documented evidence that she voluntarily ended the marriage. Plus, we have her affair documented. No judge is going to force you to house your cheating ex-wife while the divorce is pending. What about the kids? I asked. That was my real concern. Levi and Ella. They were at your mother's house last night, correct? Arthur confirmed. Yes. I called Mom right after Brooke's little performance. Told her to pick them up from school and keep them overnight. Smart move, Arthur said. Keep them with you, or your mother, until we establish a formal custody arrangement. Don't let Brooke use them as leverage. My phone buzzed. Text from Mom. Levi wants to know what's happening. What should I tell him? I stared at the message. My son was 14, old enough to understand some of this. But how do you tell your kid that his mother chose humiliation over family? Tell him the truth. I texted back. Mom and I are separating. I'll talk to him and Ella tonight. This was going to be the hardest part. Not the legal battles or the financial maneuvering. Explaining to my children why their family was falling apart. I drove to Mom's house that evening. The whole way there, I rehearsed what I'd say to Levi and Ella. How do you explain betrayal to kids who still believe in fairy tales? Mom met me at the door. At 68, she still had that no-nonsense look that could cut through any situation. There in the living room, Mom said quietly, Levi knows something's wrong. Ella thinks you're just working late again. I walked in and found him on the couch. Levi looked up from his phone, his expression guarded. Ella jumped up and hugged me. Dad, are you and Mom fighting? Ella asked, her 11-year-old face full of worry. I sat down between them. Your mom and I are separating. We're getting divorced. Levi's jaw tightened. He wasn't surprised. Because of that trainer guy. My head snapped toward him. What do you know about that? Levi shrugged, trying to act casual, but I could see the anger in his eyes. I'm not stupid, Dad. I've seen the way she looks at her phone, the way she dresses up for the gym now. And last month, I came home early for basketball practice. His car was in the driveway. Something cold settled in my chest. You saw him at the house. I didn't go in, Levi said. I just went to Tyler's house instead. I didn't want to deal with it. My 14-year-old son had been carrying this alone for a month. I pulled him into a hug, and he didn't resist. You should have told me, I said. I thought maybe I was wrong, Levi replied, his voice breaking slightly. I wanted to be wrong. Ella looked confused. What's happening? What trainer? I took a breath. Your mom made some choices that hurt our family. But I want you both to know that this isn't your fault. Nothing about this is your fault. Where's mom now? Ella asked. She's staying somewhere else for now, I said. You'll still see her. But you're going to live with me. Good, Levi said firmly. I don't want to see her right now anyway. Mom appeared in the doorway. Clayton, Arthur just called. He needs to speak with you. It's urgent. I stepped into the kitchen and called Arthur back. We have a problem, Arthur said. Brooke's attorney filed an emergency custody motion. She's claiming you're alienating the children and that you removed them from the family home without her knowledge. That's insane, I said. She's the one who ended the marriage. And Levi just told me he saw Cody at her house a month ago. Arthur went silent. He'll testify to that. If he needs to, I said. He's angry enough that he'd probably volunteer. Give me a written statement from him. Arthur instructed. Tonight, if possible. The hearing is in 3 days. We need to establish that Brooke's infidelity directly impacted the children's well-being. After I hung up, I went back to the living room. Levi was holding Ella, who was crying softly. Levi, I said gently, I need you to write down everything you saw that day. When you came home, what time it was, whose car was there. Can you do that? Levi nodded, his expression hardening. Yeah, I can do that. My son was about to testify against his own mother. This was the cost of Brooke's choices. Not just a broken marriage, but broken trust that would take years to repair. That night, I read Levi's statement. It was clear, detailed, and devastating. He'd noted the time, the vehicle description, even the fact that the living room curtains were closed in the middle of the afternoon. My son had the instincts of an investigator and the broken heart of a kid who'd lost faith in his mother. The emergency custody hearing took place in a windowless courtroom that smelled like old coffee and desperation. I sat next to Arthur, wearing my best suit, while Brooke sat across the aisle with her attorney, a young guy named Derek who looked fresh out of law school. Brooke was dressed conservatively, makeup minimal, playing the wronged wife perfectly. She didn't look at me once. The judge was a woman in her 60s named Patricia Reynolds. She had a reputation for not tolerating games. Derek stood first. Your Honor, my client was forcibly removed from her home without warning or justification. Mr. Morgan changed the locks while she was out, canceled her credit cards, and has been preventing her from seeing her children. Judge Reynolds looked at me. Mr. Morgan, is this accurate? Arthur stood. Your Honor, if I may. Mrs. Morgan voluntarily ended the marriage via telephone while she was with friends. She did so publicly, on speakerphone, for entertainment purposes. My client responded by securing assets that were solely in his name. Mrs. Morgan never had legal claim to the residence or the accounts in question. I'd like to hear from Mr. Morgan directly, Judge Reynolds said. I stood. Your Honor, my wife called me 3 days ago and ended our 16-year marriage in 11 seconds, on speakerphone, so her friend could laugh. I didn't kick her out. She walked away. I simply made sure she couldn't walk back in and destroy what I'd built. Derek jumped up. Your Honor, Mr. Morgan is painting a false narrative. My client made a difficult decision. Yes, but she has every right to. Counsel, Judge Reynolds interrupted. Did your client, or did she not terminate the marriage voluntarily? Derek hesitated. The manner of the termination is being mischaracterized. That's a yes or no question, the judge said. Yes, but. Then Mr. Morgan's actions to secure his property were legally justified, Judge Reynolds said. What about the children? Arthur presented Levi's written statement. Your Honor, the Morgan's 14-year-old son has provided a sworn statement that he witnessed evidence of his mother's extramarital affair. He came home from school a month ago and found the other man's vehicle in the driveway. He chose not to enter his own home because he knew what he would find. Brooke's face went pale. Derek looked like he'd been hit with a brick. Your Honor, Derek protested. This is hearsay from a child who's been coached. I'm available to testify, a voice said from behind us. I turned. Levi had come to the courthouse. He stood in the gallery, wearing a button-down shirt, looking older than his 14 years. Young man, Judge Reynolds said. You're the Morgan's son? Yes, ma'am, Levi replied. And nobody coached me. I wrote that statement because it's the truth. Judge Reynolds studied him for a long moment. Did you see this man inside your home? No, ma'am, Levi said. But I saw his car. A red Dodge Challenger with a gym logo on it. It was there at 2:30 in the afternoon when nobody should have been home. And what did you do? The judge asked. I went to my friend's house, Levi said quietly, because I didn't want to see what was happening. The courtroom went silent. Brooke was staring at our son with her mouth open. Derek looked defeated. Judge Reynolds turned to Brooke. Mrs. Morgan, do you have anything to say? Brooke stood, her voice shaking. That's not what it looked like. Cody was just. So, you're not denying he was there? Judge Reynolds interrupted. Brooke's attorney grabbed her arm, but she jerked away. He's my trainer. We were just talking. With the curtains closed at 2:30 on a school day, Judge Reynolds said flatly. She looked at her notes, then back up. Temporary custody is awarded to Mr. Morgan. Mrs. Morgan will have supervised visitation pending a full custody evaluation. We're adjourned. The gavel came down like thunder. I looked at Levi, who was still standing in the gallery. My son had just gone to war for his family, and he'd won. 2 days after the custody hearing, I was in my office when Vernon knocked on my door. He had that look on his face, the one that meant trouble. You need to see this, Vernon said, handing me his phone. It was a news article from the local paper. Personal trainer arrested for assault. The photo showed Cody Barnes in handcuffs. I read the article. Apparently, Cody had gotten into a fight at a bar the night after the custody hearing. According to witnesses, he'd been drinking heavily and started a confrontation with another patron. The other guy ended up with a broken nose. Cody was charged with aggravated assault. Gets better, Vernon said. Check his social media. I scrolled down. Cody's girlfriend, a woman I'd never heard of, had posted a long rant about how he'd been cheating on her with a client. She named Brooke directly, posted screenshots of text messages, even included photos of them together. He had a girlfriend the whole time, I said flatly. A fiancé. Actually, Vernon corrected. They were supposed to get married next month. She found out about Brooke and lost it. That's what the bar fight was about. The guy he punched was her brother. I sat back in my chair. Brooke had destroyed our family for a man who was engaged to someone else. A man who was now sitting in county lockup facing assault charges. Arthur called an hour later. Have you seen the news about Barnes? Yeah, I said. This changes everything, Arthur said. Brooke's attorney is going to have a hard time painting her as the victim when her affair partner is in jail for violence. I'm filing a motion to make the custody arrangement permanent. Do it, I said. That evening, I got a call from an unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. Clayton, please. It was Brooke. Her voice was broken, desperate. I need to talk to you. We have nothing to discuss, I said. All communication goes through our attorneys. Cody lied to me, Brooke said, crying now. He told me he was single. He told me he loved me. I thought we had a future. You had a husband, I said coldly. You had children. You had a future. You threw it all away for a lie. I made a mistake, Brooke sobbed. Please, Clayton. I'm sorry. Can we just talk about this? No, I said. You made your choice. You humiliated me on speakerphone for laughs. You brought that man into our home while our children were at school. You don't get to apologize your way out of consequences. What about Levi and Ella? Brooke asked. They need their mother. They need a mother who puts them first, I said. That's not you. Not anymore. I'm staying in a motel, Clayton, Brooke said, her voice breaking. I have nothing. No money, no car, nowhere to go. My own mother won't take my calls. That's not my problem, I replied. You created this situation. You deal with it. I'm begging you, Brooke whispered. Begging doesn't work on me, I said. You should have thought about consequences before you made me a punchline. I hung up before she could respond. Vernon texted me later that night. Brooke's Instagram is gone. Whole account deleted. I checked. He was right. Brooke Morgan home, with its 30,000 followers and carefully curated life, had vanished. Her brand had been built on the illusion of a perfect family. Without that family, there was nothing left to sell. 3 days later, Arthur called with news. Cody Barnes' fiancé filed a lawsuit against Brooke. She's claiming alienation of affection. It's a long shot legally, but the publicity alone is going to destroy whatever reputation Brooke has left. How's Brooke responding? I asked. She's not, Arthur said. Her attorney withdrew from the case yesterday. Apparently, she can't pay him. Brooke had bet everything on a fantasy and lost. The influencer life, the perfect image, the adoring followers. All of it was built on my money my stability, my willingness to be the invisible man behind her success. Now she had nothing, and I felt absolutely nothing watching her fall. 3 weeks after the custody hearing, life started to find a new rhythm. Levi and Ella had moved their stuff into my new place, a 4-bedroom house I'd purchased under an LLC 2 months before Brooke's phone call. She didn't know it existed. Levi adjusted quickly. He threw himself into basketball, and his grades actually improved. Ella struggled more. She still asked about her mom, still wanted to believe things could go back to normal. "Dad," Ella asked one night at dinner, "why can't Mom just say sorry and come home?" Levi put down his fork. "Because sorry doesn't fix what she did, Ella. Your brother's right," I said gently. "What your mom did hurt all of us. Sometimes sorry isn't enough. But families are supposed to forgive each other," Ella insisted, her eyes filling with tears. I pulled her into a hug. "We are a family. You, me, Levi, and Grandma. That's our family. Your mom made choices that took her out of it." The supervised visitations with Brooke were disasters. She'd show up late, crying, trying to guilt-trip the kids into feeling sorry for her. After the 3rd visit, Levi refused to go anymore. "I don't want to see her," Levi told me firmly. "All she does is cry and talk about how hard her life is. She doesn't ask about school or basketball or anything about us. It's all about her." Arthur assured me that at 14, Levi's preference would carry significant weight with the court. Meanwhile, the business was thriving. Vernon and I had landed 3 new franchise contracts, expanding our footprint into 2 more states. Without the constant drama of Brooke's demands, I could actually focus. One afternoon, I was reviewing contracts when my assistant buzzed me. "Mr. Morgan, there's a woman here to see you. She says it's about your wife." I tensed. "Send her in." The woman who entered was in her early 30s, professionally dressed. She introduced herself as Lauren Kelly, Cody Barnes' former fiancée. "Mr. Morgan," Lauren said, sitting down, "I'm not here to cause trouble. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. I had no idea Cody was involved with a married woman until after everything happened." "What do you want from me?" I asked. "Nothing," Lauren said. "I just thought you should know the truth. Cody told your wife he was single and serious about her. He lied to both of us. He's a con artist who targets wealthy women. You're the 3rd husband I've tracked down." I leaned forward. "3rd. Before me, he was engaged to another woman," Lauren explained. "Before that, he was dating a divorce lawyer's wife. This is his pattern. He finds women with money or access to money, tells them what they want to hear, and bleeds them dry." "Did Brooke give him money?" I asked. Lauren nodded. "According to the texts I found, she gave him almost $30,000. Said it was for his personal training certification and to help him open his own gym." I felt something cold settle in my stomach. $30,000. From where? I pulled up our financial records. There it was. Brooke had been withdrawing cash from our joint household account for months. Small amounts, never enough to trigger suspicion. It added up to exactly $32,000. She hadn't just betrayed me emotionally. She'd been stealing from our family to fund her affair. "Thank you for telling me this," I said to Lauren. "She's a victim too, in a way," Lauren said. "Cody's very good at manipulation, but that doesn't excuse what she did to you and your children." After Lauren left, I called Arthur and told him about the money. "This is exactly what we needed," Arthur said. "Dissipation of marital assets. We can go after her for that in the divorce proceedings. She won't get a dime." That night, I sat with Levi and Ella and told them the truth. Not all of it, but enough. That their mother had made very poor choices, that she'd been lied to by someone she trusted, but that ultimately, she was responsible for her actions. "Is Mom going to be okay?" Ella asked quietly. "I don't know," I said honestly, "but that's not our responsibility anymore. Our responsibility is to take care of each other." Levi nodded. He understood. Ella was still learning. But we were going to be okay. We'd survive this, and we'd be stronger for it. 6 weeks after everything started, Brooke showed up at my office unannounced. Security called me before letting her up. "Mr. Morgan, your wife is in the lobby. She's insisting she needs to see you." I could have had security escort her out. Instead, I told them to send her up. It was time to end this once and for all. Brooke walked into my office looking nothing like the woman I'd married. Her hair was unwashed, her clothes wrinkled. The Instagram perfect image was gone, replaced by raw desperation. "Clayton, please," Brooke said before I could speak. "Just hear me out. I gestured to the chair across from my desk. She sat. I've been to therapy. Brooke started. I've been trying to understand why I did what I did. The therapist says I was seeking validation, that I felt invisible in our marriage. Stop, I said. I'm not interested in your therapy sessions or your excuses. You didn't come here for closure. You came here because you're broke and you think you can manipulate me into helping you. Brooke's eyes filled with tears. That's not fair. I made mistakes, but I'm trying to change. You didn't make mistakes, I said, my voice hard. You made calculated choices. You chose to have an affair. You chose to steal $32,000 from our family to give to a con artist. You chose to humiliate me on speakerphone for entertainment. Those weren't mistakes. Those were decisions. I was confused. Brooke protested. Cody said he loved me. He made me feel special. I made you feel secure. I shot back. I gave you a home, financial stability, children, and 15 years of loyalty. But that wasn't exciting enough for you. You wanted to feel special, so you destroyed everything we built. Brooke wiped her eyes. What about Levi and Ella? They need their mother. They need a mother who puts them first, I said. You spent more time taking selfies for Instagram than you did at their parent-teacher conferences. You missed Levi's basketball games because you had to go to the gym. You forgot Ella's birthday last year because you were on a collaboration trip. You weren't present even when you were there. I can change, Brooke insisted. I can be better. I leaned back in my chair. Maybe you can, but not for me and not in my life. You burned that bridge when you made me a punchline. So that's it, Brooke asked, her voice rising. 16 years of marriage and you just throw it away. I didn't throw anything away, I said coldly. You did. When you put me on speakerphone and ended our marriage for laughs. You threw it away when you brought Cody into our home while our children were at school. You threw it away when you stole from us. I'm just cleaning up the mess you made. Brooke stood up, anger replacing tears. You're going to regret this, Clayton. I'll fight you for everything. With what money? I asked. With what lawyer? You have nothing, Brooke. No income, no assets, no support system. Your own mother won't return your calls. Your influencer friends disappeared the moment your account did. You're alone because you chose to be alone. The court will see what you're doing, Brooke threatened. They'll see how you've turned my own children against me. The court has already seen what you are, I replied. An unfaithful wife who stole from her family and lied to everyone. Levi testified against you under oath. That wasn't my doing. That was yours. Brooke stood there, trembling with rage and humiliation. Finally, she turned and walked toward the door. Brooke, I called out. She stopped. Don't come to my office again. Don't come to my home. All communication goes through attorneys. If you violate that, I'll get a restraining order. She left without another word. Vernon came in a few minutes later. I saw her leaving. She looked destroyed. She destroyed herself, I said. I just stopped catching her. That night, Arthur called. Brooke's attorney contacted me. She wants to settle. She'll give you full custody, won't contest the asset division, and will sign off on everything if you agree to pay her $5,000 for relocation expenses. $5,000 to be done with this completely. To never have to deal with her drama again. Counter with $3,000, I said, and she signs a non-disparagement clause. She doesn't talk about me, the kids, or this situation publicly. Ever. Done, Arthur said. 3 days later, Brooke signed everything. Our marriage was officially over. 8 months after Brooke's speakerphone call, my life looked completely different. The divorce was finalized. I had full custody of Levi and Ella. The business had expanded to 10 franchise locations across 4 states. Vernon and I were discussing opening an 11th. Levi had grown into a confident young man. At 15 now, he was team captain of his basketball team and maintaining a 3.8 GPA. He rarely mentioned his mother, and when he did, it was with the detached tone of someone discussing a stranger. Ella, at 12, was doing better. She'd stopped asking when Mom was coming home and had started building her own identity separate from Brooke's influence. She'd joined the school choir and made new friends. Mom had been instrumental in their healing. She'd moved into a house 2 blocks away from us, making herself available whenever the kids needed her. She never spoke badly about Brooke, but she didn't defend her either. One Saturday morning, I was making breakfast when Levi came downstairs. Dad, can we talk? Levi asked. Of course. What's up? Levi sat at the kitchen counter. Mom called me yesterday. I set down the spatula. What did she say? She wanted to meet up. Said she misses me and wants to rebuild our relationship, Levi explained. His expression was neutral, guarded. What did you tell her? I asked. I told her I'd think about it, Levi said. But honestly, Dad, I don't know if I want to. Every time I see her, it's the same thing. She cries, talks about how hard her life is, and makes everything about her. She never asks about my life. I sat down next to him. This is your choice, Levi. I won't force you either way. But whatever you decide, I'll support you. Do you think she's actually changed? Levi asked. I don't know. I said honestly. People can change, but they have to want to, and they have to put in the work. Based on what you've told me about your visits, it doesn't sound like she's done that yet. Levi nodded slowly. I think I'm going to tell her no. Maybe later, when I'm older and can handle it better. But right now, I'm good with how things are. Then that's what you'll do, I said. That afternoon, Vernon stopped by. We sat on the back deck while the kids played basketball in the driveway. You did good, man, Vernon said, watching them. Those kids are thriving. They're resilient, I said, stronger than I gave them credit for. They learned that from you, Vernon replied. You could have fallen apart, could have gotten bitter and angry. Instead, you handled business and took care of your kids. That takes strength. I thought about that. A year ago, I'd been in a marriage I thought was solid. Now I was divorced, a single father, and running a growing business empire. It wasn't the life I planned, but it was a good life. You dating yet? Vernon asked with a grin. No, I said. I'm not ready for that. Right now, my focus is on Levi and Ella. They need stability, not me bringing someone new into their lives. Fair enough, Vernon said. But eventually, you should get back out there. You're a good man, Clayton. Don't let what Brooke did make you think otherwise. A few weeks later, I received a letter from Brooke's attorney. She'd moved to another state and was requesting to reduce her child support obligations. She was working as a retail manager, making a fraction of what she'd had access to during our marriage. Arthur advised settling. She's not going to be able to pay much anyway. Better to agree to a minimal amount than waste money fighting over pennies. I agreed. Brooke was ordered to pay $200 a month in child support. She'd gone from a six-figure lifestyle to barely scraping by. I should have felt satisfaction. Instead, I felt nothing. Brooke was no longer my problem, my concern, or my responsibility. She'd become what she'd always been beneath the Instagram filters and designer clothes. Someone I used to know. 10 months after that phone call, I stood in Levi's school gymnasium, watching him lead his team to a playoff victory. Ella sat next to me, cheering loudly. Mom was on my other side, filming on her phone. After the game, Levi ran over, sweaty and grinning. Did you see that final shot? Levi asked excitedly. I saw everything, I said, pulling him into a hug. I'm proud of you. We couldn't have won without everyone's support, Levi said, looking at me, Ella, and his grandmother. That's when I realized we'd made it. We'd survived the worst and come out stronger. We were family. Maybe not the family I planned for, but a family nonetheless. And that was more than enough. 14 months after Brooke's phone call, I was reviewing expansion plans with Vernon when my phone rang. Unknown number, but I answered anyway. Mr. Morgan? This is Detective Sarah Williams with the County Sheriff's Office. I need to speak with you about Brooke Morgan. My stomach tightened. What happened? She was arrested 3 days ago for writing bad checks, Detective Williams explained. She listed you as an emergency contact. She's asking if you'll post bail. How much? I asked, though I already knew my answer. $5,000. I was silent for a moment. Vernon was watching me, eyebrows raised. Mr. Morgan? The detective prompted. No, I said firmly. I won't be posting bail. We're divorced. She's not my responsibility. She said you'd say that, Detective Williams replied. But I had a call. She also wanted me to tell you that she needs help, that she's hit rock bottom. Then rock bottom is where she needs to be, I said. Maybe it'll teach her something that 16 years of marriage couldn't. I hung up and looked at Vernon. Brooke got arrested. I explained. Bad checks. Wants me to bail her out. Vernon shook his head. And you said no. Good. That woman's life is her own problem now. That evening, I told Mom what had happened. She was at the house helping Ella with a science project. You did the right thing, Mom said firmly. Brooke needs to face her consequences. You can't save someone who won't save themselves. Levi, who'd been listening from the kitchen, came into the room. Mom got arrested? Levi asked. I nodded. She wrote bad checks. She wanted me to post bail. And you said no? Levi said. It wasn't a question. I said no. I confirmed. Levi was quiet for a moment, then nodded. Good. She made her choices. We made ours. At 15, my son understood consequences better than his mother ever would. A week later, Arthur called with news. Brooke pled guilty to fraud charges. She got probation and community service, but it's on her record now. This officially ends any chance she had of getting modified custody. What about child support? I asked. The court suspended her obligation, Arthur said. She can't pay what she doesn't have. But it also means she has zero legal leverage. You're done with her, Clayton. Completely. That night, I sat with Levi and Ella and explained what had happened. So Mom's not going to try to see us anymore? Ella asked. I don't know what she'll do, I said honestly. But legally, she has no power over your lives. If she wants to rebuild a relationship with you, she'll have to earn it. And that's going to take years of consistent effort on her part. I don't think she has it in her, Levi said quietly. He was probably right. A few days later, I received a letter from Brooke. It was handwritten, tear-stained, desperate. She wrote about how sorry she was, how she destroyed everything, how she understood if we never forgave her. She wrote about hitting rock bottom and finally seeing clearly. She wrote about wanting to be better, to be the mother Levi and Ella deserved. But words on paper meant nothing. I'd heard apologies before. What mattered was action, and Brooke had proven incapable of that. I showed the letter to Mom. What do you think I should do? I asked. Nothing, Mom said. File it away. If she's serious about change, she'll prove it through years of consistent behavior, not through one desperate letter. Until then, protect your children and keep moving forward. That's exactly what I did. I filed the letter in a folder and focused on what mattered. Levi, Ella, the business, and building a life that was stable, healthy, and honest. Brooke had wanted attention and validation more than she wanted family. Now she had neither, and we had peace. That was the trade she'd made, and I was finally okay with it. 2 years after Brooke ended our marriage on speakerphone, I stood in the backyard of our home watching Levi and Ella play with our new dog, a golden retriever named Scout. Vernon and his wife had come over for a barbecue. Mom was inside, making her famous potato salad. Gerald Thompson, my accountant and now good friend, was helping me grill. Life looked nothing like I'd planned, and somehow it was better. You've built something solid here, Gerald observed, flipping burgers. Look at those kids. They're thriving. Levi was 16 now, over 6 feet tall, and had just gotten a full scholarship offer to play basketball at a Division II college. Ella was 13, confident and creative, with a portfolio of artwork that had won regional competitions. They did the work, I said. I just gave them stability. Don't sell yourself short, Gerald replied. You could have let what Brooke did turn you bitter. Instead, you showed those kids what integrity looks like. The business had grown beyond anything I'd imagined. 15 franchise locations across 6 states. Vernon and I were planning to break into the Canadian market next year. We'd build an empire on the foundation of hard work and smart decisions. I thought about where Brooke was now. Last I'd heard through mutual acquaintances, she was living in a studio apartment in another state, working 2 retail jobs to make ends meet. Her Instagram had been deleted for almost 2 years. The influencer life was gone, replaced by the reality she tried so hard to escape. She'd asked to see the kids twice in the past year. Both times, they declined. Levi had no interest in rebuilding that relationship. Ella was still processing, still hopeful in the way young girls are, but she'd learned to protect herself. Dad, Ella called out. Scout caught the frisbee. I watched as the dog bounded across the yard, tail wagging. Simple joy. That's what our life had become. No drama, no lies, no performance for social media. Just real life, messy and honest and good. Vernon walked over with a beer. I've been thinking about what you said last year. About how Brooke threw away everything for a fantasy. Yeah. I said, you could have done the same thing in reverse, Vernon said. Could have thrown away your principles, your integrity, gotten revenge, made everything ugly. But you didn't. You stayed the course. That's why your kids respect you. That's why your business partner trusts you. That's why you got a good life now. Mom came outside carrying a huge bowl of potato salad. At 70, She was still sharp and active. "Clayton, I need to tell you something," Mom said, setting the bowl down. "What's that?" I asked. "I'm proud of you," Mom said simply. "Your father would be too. You took a terrible situation and handled it with strength and grace. You protected your children. You built a good life. That's what real men do." Later that evening, after everyone had left, I sat on the back porch with Levi and Ella. "Do you guys ever think about what life would be like if Mom hadn't made that phone call?" I asked. Levi shook his head. "Not really. I think about who I am now versus who I might have been. I'm stronger because of what happened. More aware. I won't make the same mistakes." "I think about it sometimes," Ella admitted. "But then I remember how fake everything felt before. How Mom was always performing. This feels more real." She was right. This was real. No filters. No staging. No pretending. Just a father and his kids building a life based on truth. I'd learned something important through all of this. You can't control other people's choices, but you can control your response. Brooke chose chaos and attention. I chose stability and integrity. And in the end, that made all the difference. The business was thriving. The kids were flourishing. I had genuine friendships and family support. My life wasn't perfect, but it was honest. 2 years ago, Brooke ended our marriage in 11 seconds to entertain her friends. She thought she was making a power move, showing everyone she was in control. Instead, she'd freed me to build something better. Something real. Something that would last. I looked at Levi and Ella, both growing into remarkable people despite the trauma they'd endured. "I love you both," I said. "You know that, right?" "We know, Dad," Levi said. "We love you too." And sitting there on that porch, watching the sunset with my kids beside me, I realized something profound. Brooke's betrayal hadn't destroyed me. It had revealed who I really was. A father, a businessman, a man of principle, and that was more than enough.